Hello the YouTubers, this is CD Mangaka, and this video is gonna be a little bit of a two-part thing. The first part is gonna be very short. I'm gonna show you guys my combat record just for an update for old fans, and as well as to introduce my stats to the Ronaldinho fans. So if you want to pause at any point in this video for the first 40 seconds, I'll go at some stats of mine or whatever. Go ahead and feel free to do that. I don't stop at all. I just show you real fast and get right through. And then the second part is gonna be some headquarters gameplay on Hanoi. Old gameplay, and I was extremely proud of the gameplay. Actually, I had a very fantastic score. I'm going to show that to you guys. It's like a month old too, so. And for this commentary, I've actually decided to, not talk about the gameplay here, but to kind of just do my own little sit around and philosophize for a moment about like something the game industry is doing, and that's going to be like the morality choices in video games. And this is gonna stem from I've played 2 games recently that it kind of pushed me, I'll say, to talk about this. And without any further ado, I'm gonna kind of start ignoring the gameplay right now, just start to ramble as cohesively and coherently as I possibly can. So morality in video games is it's like it used to be like it was a new feature some odd years ago, but now it's becoming like a big thing. Like a lot of games trying to sell themselves like there's gonna be like you have a morality choice system, like Infamous, like the Infamous series. Create their whole concept almost around that. Rockstar has started to do things with that. Namely, Red Dead Redemption, you could be the outlaw or a good guy. But for the most part, in those games, the morality thing doesn't really do much, honestly. Like the morality thing it's just there to kind of just solicit another playthrough of the game. Like, okay, you got the bad ending, now here's a good ending. But overall, there was no real difference. Like I'll say, like in Infamous, that game's old enough. I'll go ahead and spoil a few things. Like in Infamous, it didn't matter whether or not you were good or bad. Cole's love interest, Trish, would always die, whether or not you were good or bad. There was no real difference, and the story would just take the same route every time. And it was just like, what was the real difference? I mean, the only real thing that the difference in that case was insignificant. It was just whether or not she died telling you how much she loved you, or died telling you how much she hated you. But that was like the only real difference. But they could have done a lot better with that thing, and like actually have the story transform itself. That way you get like 2 completely different takes on the game, rather than just like the playing through the game except with a different color of lightning and a little bit of a different tone to it. Like I would have loved in Infamous 1 if you played evil, like if you played the good story and you went up to save the doctors, that Trish would die. But if you were evil, then you would go up and you would, save Trish, and she would be alive still, but she would totally hate you and outcast you or something like that. Or, I don't know, but if there was a different twist like that, if there was actual difference for playing the game, that would have been, fantastic. The end result in Infamous was like basically the same. It was just like, did you save the city or are you in control of it? But in Infamous 2, I will give them, credit that they did a better job at changing up kind of how things played out, like your relationships with some of the standing characters. Would change depending on what you did, but overall it would still kind of help you. They did make a nice twist in the ending where you would have to turn on your partner, and you would also overall the ending was completely different in both cases. And with that being said, I'm gonna go into a little personal binge here and say that I like playing the hero. I hate playing the bad guy. Like I like running around and doing my own thing, but honestly I don't like being a terrorist. Not to say like I hate talking for Allah. That's not it. I just hate being the guy who has to destroy everything, who's just like a dick to people. It's not anyone on my team knows I'm lying when I say this. It's not in my nature to be an ass to people and to be rude. I mean, I get snarky and I get a little feisty and rude, I'll say, in Black Ops when I play with the guys, but I'm just hyped up about the game. But when I'm like in a story, or when my act when there's like how people respond to it, when there's a visible reaction to what I do, I get a lot more personal. I hate being rude to people. I really hate being a jerk to people who, in my opinion, don't deserve it. There's a difference here. If you're an ass to my friends, I will blow up in your face like nobody's business. I have gone after so many people and really just started up. I've rioted. I've raised an army by myself in order to, if someone has said shit about a friend of mine, like in my own personal bubble. I get extremely mad at people, and I get extremely rude, and I get really cross if you insult a friend of mine. I generally laugh when the person insults me. I know they're just kidding around, or maybe not. I'm just but I'm generally good at that, and I generally just insult them back or whatever in a clever, usually way. But when it comes down to like You know, but when I'm not offended, and when you just give me the choice, it is my instinct to be the good guy. When I played Infamous for the first time, I was good. I played good story first, and then I played the bad story through, and, you know, I kind of hated it almost, like, how just, like, man, like, why am I being a dick to people? Like, honestly, just, like, it was so much better to be a good person. And then I'm replaying the Infamous 2 right now, and I'm playing Evil, and I'm really not enjoying it, actually. I'm just, like, now that it's, like... Not only am I playing as a nature that I don't like to play as, you know, which is bad and evil and an ass, but I'm forced to do it. I'm forced to do it because it's just like, it's how the game progresses. Like, probably in Red Dead Redemption, if I pick up the game again and decide to be the wanted guy, which, again, in Red Dead Redemption doesn't really matter what you do. It just depends on what your free time is like. Whether, you know, it's just occasional, you just walk around and everything's peaceful until, you know, someone's getting kidnapped, or if the, you know, the army's after your ass every 10 seconds. That's the only real difference, that the morality in Red Dead Redemption changes. The story's still the same, which is a good thing because it's a really good story. But I mean, honestly, it would be nice to see if the morality had like throughout the story had an effect, kind of like Heavy Rain. Like, Heavy Rain really did a good job of it. I only played the game once, and I'm not really inclined to play it again because I've already completed it. I've had my version of the story. I had my version, and I don't want any other version. That version of Heavy Rain that I played through that one time is my version, and I don't want, you know, to mess with that. You know, that's my reality of Heavy Rain. But honestly, at the same time, you know, I mean, my friend played it differently. I mean, it's just like, the game was different for him because he made different choices than I did. And I would like that to happen in, like, you know, new morality systems of the game. If you're bad, then, you know, the story kind of changes that that is bad. You know, and it's more than just, like, you know, like how the ending is, but, like, overall, and, like, the events that happen. You know, and throwing some irony in it. Like, again, the whole Trish example for Infamous 1. Like, it would be pretty freaking sweet if you were the hero that Trish died, but if you were evil, she lived, but she hated your guts, man. I mean, that's just, like, that would be a really good twist. I would have loved to have that, now I think about it. And frankly, you know, I just, you know, hate to, you know, be forced to be the bad guy. Like in Red Dead Redemption, as I said, I went on a killing spree once just to dick around for a minute, and I had a blast with it because of my choice. But in Infamous 2, and in Infamous, I have to be an ass to level up to get new powers and whatnot. And so I'm forced to go against my nature rather than just say, what the hell, I'll just blow this thing up. Just like, okay, I gotta go, you know, be a jackass somebody day. And then as I watch as characters that, you know, once liked me, and once, you know, were really, like, cool with me, started to hate my guts, like Quo blew up at me in Infamous 2 after I, you know, in the evil story mode, and I remember how sweet it was just to have her, like, chat and be kind of, like, on a good page with me, you know, when I was good. And I might be going too deep in here. I do get immersed in my video games, maybe a little bit too much. Like, I honestly like almost any protagonist I get, as long as they're, like, badass and they're, like, heroic in a sense. Like War from Darksiders, I absolutely love that guy. Not because, like, he's, like, the guy who I like to have a beer with or anything. You know, I'm just going to use the proverbial guy you have a beer with phrase. But it was just fun to play as him because I was fighting for good the whole time. I was just a total badass. And then you give me Kratos. Kratos just destroying every bit of life form that he can seize, you know, in God of War 3. I was not really liking it. It marred the experience for me, actually. Like, the gameplay itself was okay, and I liked it, and it was challenging, and I had to think about it, and then, you know, play it, and I just, like, come up with a strategy for a third-person action game, something I haven't done for a long while, since probably, I'll say, Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2. But, like, aside from that, like, nothing really to like about him. Like, you know, it was just, like, he would totally immerse me out of it. Like, why couldn't you just be nice? Like, you're going for retribution, act like it, man. Like, honestly. Like, I remember there was a scene where I had to save, like, Poseidon's princess, and to get her to, you know, open up the next path for me. And you know, I didn't realize what I was doing until Kratos, you know, freaking tied her up to the lever and just, you know, left her there to die, and I heard her, you know, back practically snap in half. And I was just like, dude, why couldn't you just say, you're free to go, just hold this lever for me, and I promise you'll live? I mean, why couldn't you do that? Like, honestly. Like, and just marred the experience for me. It actually just really did. It just put a sour taste in my mouth. It wasn't fun to be a badass, because I was just such there was more evidence on ass than badass, you know, for me. But I did like God of War 3. I beat the game on hard mode, and very entertaining game and very epic, but it's just like, I didn't have, like, you know, like a character fun with it. Like, I couldn't get into it, like, emotionally invest in it like I could some other games. But that's just, like, my point of view there, and that's just something I do with video games, actually. So the point of this little ramble-bamble is, like, do you guys, like, what do you think about, like, the moral choice system in games? And, like, you know, like, would you really like to have, like, consequences, you know, having more vested to, like, having more impact on them, like, say, Mass Effect 2? Like, in an action game that says a moral choice system should be, like, a really in-depth moral choice system that affects the game as you play it? Or should, you know, action games, or, you know, the moral choice thing in games in general just be totally disregarded and thrown to the side? It's just a little gimmick. Or, you know, can we work off it, but it needs some work? I mean, thoughts on that. I'm interested to hear some opinions here. And now, with the video closing up, go ahead and rate the video. I don't know what you guys are going to rate it. I'm not going to tell you what you guys are going to rate it. I'm going to start to just let you decide how you should rate the video. Please leave a comment about that, guys. And Friday, expect the musical opinions. It's going to be pretty sweet, I hope. It's going to have pictures and some jokes in it. And last but not least, in the link to the description of this video is a breaking down Black Ops that I did yesterday, and it's not getting a lot of views that I think it should, so go ahead and please check that out for me. Big help. Anyways, thank you all.